that we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. There are few rules before we begin. Kindly mute yourself while the speaker is talking. Number two, if you have any questions, you could write them in the chat box, and we hope you enjoy and benefit from today's workshop. Now, I will give the floor to Division C Director, DTM Samia Baghallab. DTM Samia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abdul. Thank you, leaders, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, and fellow guests. Today, this is the second workshop by Division C conducted because we want to empower and make everyone understand about the speech contest. But before I continue, let me first start this officially by starting with calling this meeting open. Now, thank you again for attending our humble workshops. Inshallah, you are going to benefit a lot with our amazing presenters. We have Toastmaster Ian Cortez for table topic session, and there is this a change in the agenda due to a sickness. DTM Usama Tawi, he is sick these days, and we hope that he recover soon. He is in New York, and we pray for him to be in well and health being. Now, so we have DTM Saeed Al-Ghamdi, who is willingly and courageously stepped in and took the place of delivering this workshop about humorous speech contest. So before we continue, let me first recognize the presence of our DD, District 104 Director, DTM Joey Villanueva. Thank you for attending our workshops by Division C. And if you can give us some words, some message to our division and also from the other divisions, from other districts who came today to attend these two sessions to benefit from the knowledge of our presenters. The stage is yours, DTM Joey.
Thank you very much, Madam Division C Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Samia. I wanted first to say thank you to our resource speakers, Toastmaster Ian and Distinguished Toastmaster Said, and all the distinguished Toastmasters that we have here. And also, I wanted also to express my thanks and felicitation to all fellow Toastmasters who will attend and benefit in this particular workshop. This is the time in our Toastmasters journey every year that we're going to have the courage, the confidence to conquer not the other person, not the other contestant in the contests, but ourselves. Because here in Toastmasters, while we are in a contest, we are not looking at each one as if they are the enemy and we are in the battle. If there is a battle, it is only a battle between ourselves. For we believe that the real winner or loser is not the other member of a Toastmaster, but ourselves. So when we prepare to be better, then it means we are winning the battle against ourselves. But how can we win? How can we have the courage? How can we conquer our old self if we don't know the rules? If we don't have the steps? If we don't know the terrain? If we don't have the weapon? So I appreciate and congratulate Division C for preparing not only how to win, but also equipping all our members on how to win. Because I believe when the contests will begin, it is only the best that will be standing and remain standing on stage. Fellow Toastmasters, the first thing that we have to remember in attending and in competition is that we should have a winning mind. And that is what Toastmaster is all about. If you are new and you're going to compete without the spirit of Toastmasters, you are not going to win. Why? Because you have not, or you don't develop that winning imagination, the winning spirit, the winning courage, and what? We should have that winning proposition. We should have that winning attitude. Maybe at the end of the contest, there will be losers because we are going to select only the best three. But you know, the real winners are those who can accept and also celebrate with the winners after the trophies had been distributed. If we can do that in Division C and all throughout our district, I will be the happiest person in our district because we did not only conquer ourselves, but also we conquer our pride. And it is the beginning of winning, not in the contest, but in life. Good evening. And of course, in advance, I say congratulations and good evening.
Thank you, DTM Joey, for this great message for our contestants, for our role players, for our people in the district to be and have the mentality mentality of the winner. So without that, we cannot achieve, we cannot do more and be more. Thank you for this amazing inspirational message. Thank you. And without further ado, let me introduce the host, the facilitator for today's meeting or today's workshops. So we have Toastmaster Samir Morshid. He has been in Toastmasters less than 2 years. However, his marvelous job, amazing job that he did and do every time, helping clubs, helping the division, helping the district, always. He attended workshops, he always proactive member. He also the VPE of Nisma Holding Toastmaster Club, and he is a lawyer by by with by his occupation. So without further ado, let me introduce our facilitator, our host for today, Toastmaster Samir Morshid. The stage is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Samia. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, good evening. Welcome to this amazing workshop where we will be listening to two of our amazing Toastmasters, our two champions, two experienced stars in our division. Without any further ado, let's go right into the first one. He is the current Table Topics champion from SATAC, which is the Saudi Arabian Toastmasters Annual Conference for District 104. He is the head of exams business development in the Western Province for the British Council. And he loves coffee, sweets, and traveling. And I'll add something, he has a small little monster in his house that's very noisy. Please help me welcome to the stage Toastmaster Ian Cortez, the VPE of Jeddah Advanced.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Summer. Can you hear me okay? Yes? Fantastic. Thank you very much. Just give me 1 sec for me to share my screen. Thank you for that lovely introduction. And thanks to your reminder, I hurriedly hid my dog so that he wouldn't cause issues or noise, during the presentation. Toastmaster Summer, can you see my PowerPoint slide? Yes? Okay, you're just seeing the big slide, yeah?
Yes, yes.
All right, fantastic. To our District Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Joey Villanueva, our Division C Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Samia Baghallab, and our Division C officers, fellow leaders, dear guests, a wonderful evening to everybody. I'm extremely honored to be here as your workshop presenter, and I was told that my purpose today is to encourage you, all of you, to participate in the contest, to give it your best, and to just enjoy learning a lot, improving your craft in terms of speaking impromptu or speaking off the cuff. I would like to start my presentation by sharing this quote from Robert Brown, an American author. And it says, if you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. A lot of times people think of table topics as just talking, just sharing what you think, sharing your experiences, or just giving your opinion. Well, yes and no. Yes, it's all that. And no, because it could be a whole lot more. It could be an opportunity for you to inspire, to empower, sometimes even to provoke thinking. So use the table topics or use your prepared speeches or use Toastmasters International in conveying those stories. Stories about life, about career, about anything and everything under the sun that you really treasure and value. Our session for today is entitled How to Win in Table Topics, and what's in store for everybody. Today, we will just be covering 3 main questions. Number 1, what is table topics? Number 2, why do we do it? And number 3, how do we do it? Specifically, how do we organize our ideas? How do we produce winning table topic speeches and win the next SATAC, for example, or win the stage? So those are our 3 items or topics that we will cover for this evening. I think everybody would agree with me when I say that 100%, almost 100% of our lives is speaking off the cuff. Do you agree, fellow leaders? Yes or no? Can everyone just quickly comment or type on the chat box? Do you think you agree with this statement? Yes or no? Speaking, well, a lot of life, is speaking off the cuff. It's speaking impromptu. Yes, thank you very much. According to Toastmaster Saji, yes, it is. Thank you. Didi Joey, Toastmaster Abdulillah, yes. And this is why Toastmasters International values table topics as a very powerful tool, because it develops our ability to organize thoughts quickly. It helps us to think right off the bat, very quickly, answering impromptu questions. So when you study why table topics exists in Toastmasters International, I would like to highlight it's because of 2 things, according to the Toastmasters International website. Number 1, it helps us to think on our feet and speak on a given topic. Number 2, it gives us a speaking opportunity for everyone. I am often told by a lot of colleagues, oh wow, Ian, that was a wonderful presentation. You spoke like a professional speaker. No wonder you are a Toastmaster. Or, wow, this would explain why you speak very well. And I would always take that as a compliment because I am always grateful for the training that I've had in Toastmasters International. And that is why I'm very passionate about this. And this is why when distinguished Toastmaster Samia asked me to lead on this workshop, I immediately said yes. Now, in table topics, we are said to be developing 4 very important communication skills. Number 1, listening. when the contest master reads the question, you are being trained to listen effectively, right? Because imagine if you do not practice effective listening and the contest master already gave you the question and you seem not to have heard it, then obviously that's not very good, right? So listening is very important, and we develop that in table topics. Number two, thinking. So when you hear the question, you should also be able to think quickly, in a snap, in a millisecond, at the drop of a hat. Okay, how will I answer this? The third very important skill is organizing your ideas. Now, a lot of us, well, many times, whenever we hear a question or say a statement or a quote, there will be a lot of ideas. Do I talk about things that make me happy, things that make me sad? Do I share about my biggest fears? Do I share about things that will make them laugh? How do I engage the public or the audience? So there are a lot of ideas that come into mind, and really, table topics allows us to practice that, organizing ideas very quickly. Number four, speaking. Of course, after you hear the question, you think about the answer, you organize the ideas. It's about articulating your answers. It's about speaking or voicing out your ideas. But there is one important communication skill that is also developed by table topics. Any idea what that is, fellow leaders? Please use the chat box. What else is missing here? Okay, table topics is teaching us how to listen, how to think, how to organize ideas, and how to speak. What else is missing? What is one very important communication skill? Any guesses? Okay, Toastmaster Mohammed said thinking fast. Yes, very good. Yes. Any other guesses? What is that very important skill? Okay, Toastmaster Summer, eye contact, body language, good. All right, very good. Very creative answers. But actually, the last communication skill that is being trained whenever we do a lot of table topics is knowing when to stop talking. As my coaches or mentors would often say, table topics is about knowing how to speak up, stand up, and knowing when to shut up. Basically, when to stop talking. We all know this, what this means, the stoplight. If you see the green light, that means you have reached the minimum time. You have reached that time that you will be eligible to win the contest, okay? That means you've already spoken for 1 minute. When you see the yellow light, that means you're already halfway. You should be closing or wrapping up. And when you see the red light, that already means that you've reached the 2-minute mark, and that means you're supposed to wrap up. When you see the red light, that is already telling you to stop and wrap up your answers, because you only have 30 seconds before you get disqualified. So remember these important communication skills. Now, what do you think are the elements of a winning table topic speech? By the way, may I just have a quick check? Can anyone give me a thumbs up? You're still able to see my screen, right? Yes? Fantastic, thank you, thank you. So on the chat box, fellow leaders, what do you think are the elements of a winning table topic speech? What do you think makes them very memorable or effective? Type away your answers on the chat box and let's hear them, some of them. Is it the vocal variety? Is it the answer? Is it the use of language? Is it use of humor? What are the elements of a winning table topics for you? What do you think? So if you could just type your answers on the chat box, that would be great. Maybe let's wait for a couple of volunteers. Okay. Using humor, okay, capturing the attention of the audience, good. Presence of mind, yes, very important answers, fellow leaders. Anecdotes, yes, wow. Relevance of the content of the answers to the topic and the message, yes, very good. So since these are all correct, you basically know my next slides. Thank you for listening. That is the end of my presentation. I'm joking. So let me now talk about what are the elements or ingredients that the judges look for during the table topics contests. Now, you will see here in front of your screens the judges guide and ballot, okay? Now, don't worry, I will be going through each of the element there or component, but there are essentially three very important aspects in this ballot. And this is what the judges would look like in front of them as they watch you when you compete in the speech contests. Number one, they will be looking at content. Content is 55%. And I will explain all these later in the coming slides, but content means speech development, how your speech has been organized, how fluid and smooth the flow of ideas are. It's also about the logic. It's also about your enthusiasm, your response, the response of the audience from your response to the topic, okay? But that's going to be a bit challenging, especially since we're doing online contests, but we'll go there later. The second important element of the judging criteria is delivery, okay? Content is 55%, delivery is next, but it's only more than half of content. It's delivery 30%. And here we're talking about the voice. We're talking about your appearance, your body language, okay? And the last part of the criteria is your language, which is 15%. So here language is about, are your words appropriate? How is your grammar? How is your pronunciation? Okay, so familiarize yourself with this ballot, and this is very important so that you would know what to give the judges, because these are the things that they're looking for. Let's now go on very quickly to the first part, which is content. Now, when we say content, we are talking about speech development. How were you able to put the ideas together? It's like putting together a picture or a puzzle. Do the different pieces connect? Somebody in the chat box earlier said it's about the opening, the body, and the conclusion. Yes, that is part of content. This is also about the use of examples or facts. When you say something, do you give supporting statements? Or do you just say it's only true, it's only correct because you believe that to be true? So this is what we say when we mention content. Ensure that these things are present in your table topics responses. Content is also about effectiveness. Was your answer clear? Or did you just keep on talking a lot and you weren't really able to answer the question? Okay. It's also about relevance. So if the question was asking you for your struggles in life, you personally, you shouldn't really be talking about other people's struggles, right? Because the question was asking specifically for your personal struggle. So that's very important. Relevance, okay? Logic. Are you making hasty generalizations? Are you making fallacies or committing fallacies? Are you committing logical leaps? Or are you giving statements that do not necessarily follow? Conclusions that don't follow necessarily from your statement. So that's also very important part of table topics. What I want you all to remember is content is 55%. Imagine a whole pie, more than half is filled by content. So that's how important content is in table topics, okay? Now, the second part of the criteria is delivery. And the first part of this is physical. Do you play the part? Are you wearing the part? Are you just wearing a shirt while your other competitors are wearing coat and tie? Are you wearing tattered jeans? Or, are you wearing a very nice thobe? So speaker's appearance is one. Gestures and expressions. When you are talking about a sad message, is it showing on your face? Okay? Is it manifesting in your gestures? Stage mapping is about how you walk onto the floor that's allowed. It's how you extend your arm. Are you extending it so that people can see? Or is it within the range that people can see or outside it, right? So that's very important, especially now that we're doing online contests. Delivery is also about voice. Pitch is how high or how low your answers are when you give or emphasize key messages. The rate is about how slow you are talking or how fast you actually want to speak. Now, you do the pitch and the rate varying times when you want to emphasize a point, when you want to make fun of certain characters in your story, okay? So these are elements that you can play along with. The next part is about being audible or being clear. So even if you have very good content, if you are not speaking clearly and the judges cannot hear you, obviously you will not be able to win. So that is a very important aspect of voice and delivery. Now, the last part of the criteria is language. Now, language is not just about grammar. It's not just about using highfalutin words or sounding too intelligent. Language is about using appropriate words or meaning so that you convey your response. So instead of saying happy, maybe you could say ecstatic or joyous or jubilant, okay? When we talk about language, if you listen to very good table topic speakers, you try to ask yourself after their speech, what was his message? And if you try to understand, oh, okay, he was actually telling us to go out of our comfort zones. He was telling us to be bold, be brave. If you were able to get that message, to get that takeaway, meaning the speaker was able to articulate that clearly. Now, if you think and pause, wait a minute, I'm so confused. What was his main point again? Then definitely language was not used effectively by that speaker or by that table topic speaker, okay? It is also correctness. It is also your use of the tenses. It is your use of sentence types. It is your pronunciation. Language is not about having a British accent. It's not about having an American accent or having a neutral Filipino accent. Or if you speak Malayalam or any of the Indian languages and maybe you'd think, oh, but I'm not so happy with my own accent. That is never an issue. And that should never stop you or make you feel less confident or anxious, okay? Because it's not about accent, it's about correctness, it's about your use of grammar, it's about your pronunciation. And as long as the judges can hear you, okay? So we've been talking about these elements of the judging criteria. We will now be talking about how to organize your ideas. Now, on the chat box, do you agree with me that it is hard to organize ideas before speaking up in table topics? Yes or no? Do you think it's hard to organize ideas in your head? Because some people say, no, really, it's easy because I have a lot of ideas. Or no, really, because they're my friends anyway. I'm just talking in front of my circle. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel confident, that's amazing. But in this next session of the presentation or the workshop, we are going to talk about specific techniques that can help you organize your thinking, okay? I'd like to start by saying that structure sets you free. A lot of times people think of structures or format as boxes that limit you or that restrict your thinking. Structure sets you free because in the following slides, I will be helping you structure your table topics answer according to these format or suggested patterns. So the story message gain, or what I call the SMG, the past future, or the PPF, and the point, reason, example, point, or what we call the PREP method. By the way, these sentence or these structures or suggested patterns are very applicable to table topics, but it is also very applicable when you prepare your prepared speeches as well. So clearly, this is something that is going to be very useful, not just for table topics. Number one, story message gain. Would you agree with me, yes or no, that a lot of table topics speakers often use stories as part of their responses? Stories personal anecdotes or narratives enable you to connect directly with your audience. Would you say yes, or would you agree with me, fellow leaders? I personally love anecdotes or stories because that makes me appreciate the speaker as maybe sharing the same interests as me, right? Thank you, Toastmaster Mohammed. Yes, he also agrees with this. And a lot of people enjoy this. But see, if you want to win, if there are 9 contestants and all of you are talking about stories, how do you stand out? This is one tip for you. Use SMG or story message gain for questions about reassuring, giving advice, or giving inspiration. Now, in using this, there are different elements that you need to remember. What are these elements in a story? Who can guess what this cartoon is telling you? What is one element of a story that's important? Characters, good, Toastmaster Muhammad. Characters. Who are the characters? Who is the good guy or the bad guy, the good cop or the bad cop? Next, what's this slide telling us? This is another element of a story that's very important. Okay, close enough, Toastmaster Muhammad. Events, okay, very good. Close enough. Scenarios. What is the situation or the context? The third one, what is this slide telling us? This is also a very important element of a story. Okay, close enough. Action. Okay, what else? Any guesses? Mediator, very close. This is about conflict. What was the interesting, dramatic story or twist in your story? Okay. And then the last part, after taking your audience into who the characters are, what was the situation or the scenario, and then talking them through a conflict. The last part is the resolution. Okay. Now, with these different elements, here are your transition statements. For example, you can say, I remember when I was a child, my parents used to scold me for always being late. And then you elaborate on your story. After talking about your story, you share, my message is, or what I want to share with you is the message that, okay? Now, what is the gain? If the message is the lesson of the story, the gain is what will your audience get if they live it out? So for example, my message is that let us appreciate our parents scolding us, treating us like kids, and always giving us those pieces of wisdom, so that when we grow up, we are able to be wiser, we are able to be better person or better people, and be better parents as well for our upcoming kids or future generation. So these are your transition statements that help you structure your idea. Okay, what's my story? What is the message that I want the audience to remember? And what will the audience gain if they follow or implement the message that I want to share? Okay? Now, let's practice. I would like a volunteer who will answer a table topics question using the SMG pattern. Okay? Distinguished Toastmaster Samia, may I ask for your help, please? Or Toastmaster Summer, do we have volunteers from the group? Please raise your hand if you want to answer the table topics question. If you're up for the challenge, I will give you quick feedback after you answer the question, if that's okay with you. I believe we have Toastmaster Mohammed Mazen. Yes, if you could unmute yourself. Toastmaster Mohammed, can you hear me? Toastmaster Mohammed? Okay, I think we have audio issues with Toastmaster Mohammed. Can we have other volunteers, please? I just cannot see people raising their hands. Toastmaster Summer, if you could please help in identifying. Apologies.
There is Toastmaster Ali Al-Bandar.
Okay, maybe let's go with Toastmaster Ali. Thank you, Toastmaster Summer. Toastmaster Ali, can you please unmute yourself? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Fantastic, Toastmaster Ali. Yes, okay. So remember, you will answer this question using the story message gain pattern. And these are your transition statements again, okay? I remember when, my message is, and so that, okay? Now, I will be, maybe we can have our timer, if it's okay, Toastmaster Summer, apologies for putting you to the spot. If you could be our timer to help our volunteer, you know, answer the question. Apologies, Toastmaster Summer. Is that okay to be our timer? Fantastic. Thank you, Toastmaster Summer. I owe you cookies and donuts and brownies. Thank you. Toastmaster Ali, this is your question, okay? So remember, when you see the green light, that means you've reached the minimum. Yellow, try to wrap up. Red, end it, because you might get disqualified. Are you ready, Toastmaster Ali?
Yes, I'm ready.
Fantastic. Here is your question. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Toastmaster Ali Al-Bandar, over to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with single steps. I agree with this statement. I remember when I was a kid, my mother always told me, I want you to be a doctor. One day, at that moment, I realized that it is so difficult to prepare yourself for a college with medical degree or dental degree or any health related sector, because it is a very competitive field, honestly. So at that moment, with the help of my parents or with my family, they were always there for me, to help me, to push me to prepare myself for preparing well and the exams and the prerequisite requirements before I enter the college. So that my message is always it is so difficult to achieve anything, but if you start with a single step, then and you fail, and you take the other step and you fail, one time you will reach your goal. But you have to start your first step, to try the road, to try the pathway of achieving your goal. So if you pass your first step, inshallah you will pass your second step, and you will find the people to support you for your second step. So only focus on your first step. If you pass it, then the second one, inshallah, you will pass the second one. So my message is to, if you start and if you're willing to reach your goal, no one will stop you. And finally, always put a goal, ask for help, and you will reach your goal, inshallah. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ali. Let's give our first volunteer a round of applause, virtual applause. Well done, brother. So is it okay if I give you a quick feedback, Toastmaster Ali, on your...
Sure. I'm really glad to have you all here and to give me an opportunity to talk.
Okay, fantastic. Firstly, I thank you for volunteering. I love that you repeated the question to start your answer. That is a very smart way to buy time. And I see a lot of people do that, because when they do that, they're still thinking in their head. So that's good, okay? That's a very good way for you also to remind yourself what the question is, okay? I also like that you use the transition statements very clearly. And to be honest, I saw how fluid your ideas were. Very good. You started with, I remember when, you talked about your story, your message was, okay? It was not explicit, but I did get the benefit or the gain part, okay? So well done on that. Maybe what you can work on, Toastmaster Ali, in the future is try to be more decisive and clear in your closing statement. Remember, when you were trying to end your speech earlier, you kept on repeating your conclusion or your gain. And the first time you gave your message to never give up, always start with an initial step, that was already a powerful ending, but then you kept on repeating it. Maybe you were trying to prolong your answer, okay? So don't feel pressured to prolong it, because what you need to do is to make that impact last. Make that the judges remember your closing. So don't second guess, don't keep on repeating, okay? Overall, a very good attempt, well done to you. Okay, now thank you very much again, Toastmaster Ali. Let's move on to our second.
Can you hear me now? This is Mohammed Mazen.
Yes, Toastmaster Mohammed, thank you.
Yeah, I managed to change the device, so I think now
fantastic. So I will call you again, because the second pattern you will be the one answering. Is that okay?
Okay.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, now, fellow leaders, the second format is PPF, or what we call past, present, future. Now, this is a personal favorite for me, because in contests, I have seen that it has helped me stand out. Okay, so when I was competing in the Philippines, when I was the table topics champion as a rookie contestant, in the division champion before I competed in the national finals, I was using PPF. In SATAC, I was using PPF. What is PPF? You talk about a past experience, you talk about something happening now, and you talk about something in the future. It is often used for disagreeing. So if a topic is somewhat political sounding or very difficult for you to agree or disagree, use a chronological answer, okay? If you're trying to compare something and it's very difficult, for example, you're trying to choose between, for example, personal health, okay, and then working so hard at work, okay? Those are two very difficult choices for you to choose from. So maybe what you can do is just say, in the past, I really valued my personal health. Now I really value my career and I am willing to work very hard. Sometimes even if I have long nights, I burn the midnight oil, etc., etc. In the future, I think I will still have this mindset. Okay, so that's PPF. Just having that chronological or consecutive storytelling. Here are your transition statements. So when you're talking about the past, you say in the past or before, okay? When you're talking about the present, you say nowadays, okay? And when you're talking about the future, of course, you say in the future, okay? Or in the coming years, all right? Very easy to remember, right? The first one was story, message, game, okay? And we talked about the transition statements. This time it's PPF, and these are your transition statements. Toastmaster Mohammed, are you ready to answer our practice question?
Sure.
Fantastic. So as always, please look at Toastmaster Summer's screen. Okay. Green light, you've met the minimum. Yellow, try to wrap up. Red, that is the end of your part. Okay.
Please allow me then to see Brother Summer's screen.
Sure.
I'm not sure I'm recognizing. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm seeing his screen now. Perfect.
Fantastic. Yep. He's the very handsome gentleman in Thobe with Master's logo. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm saying nice things because I've been asking him to do a lot of things. Yeah. So these are your transition statements. Don't forget. And this is your question. What makes us happy changes through time. What is happiness for you now? Toastmaster Mohammed, what makes us happy changes through time. What is happiness for you now? Over to you, Toastmaster Mohammed.
What makes us happy changes through time. What is happiness for you now? I find it a little bit philosophical, but I think it's also very deep. In the past, I used to small things used to make me very happy, like going out with my friends, playing soccer game, and receiving some gifts from friends, from my parents, or from my relatives. And now, what in the present, as I growed, as I became older, basically, I start looking to life in a more in a deeper way, and to see that there are really things that can be less tangible, that can make you really, really happy. And I started to feel the importance of being with my parents, the importance of spending quality time with my family, and also the importance of looking after the people that we cherish, whether they're from the family or not. And I believe in the future, this same thinking or this same feeling will remain. And because at the end of the day, our life is full of activities, full of uh, events, but at the end of the day, only important relationships with people we care about are the one we have to have in our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well done, Toastmaster Mohammed. Yes, let's give our second volunteer a round of applause. Okay. Is it okay if I give you a couple of feedback,
Of
Toastmaster?
course, that's the purpose.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. So, of course, thank you again for volunteering. I love the way you started your response because, see, when you're competing, fellow leaders, try not to make it show that you're too nervous or too anxious. So try to lighten up the situation and give some quick remarks. So like what you've done earlier, wow, this is a very philosophical question. So you can do that, okay? But try not to overdo it because some might end up, you do not want to use up your precious time, just trying to give unnecessary intro statements, okay? So just have a good balance there, but good, a very good start there. Use the transition statements very clearly. In effect, you were able to show a very chronological viewpoint or progress about your answers. In the past, you were talking about tangible things that make you happy. Now you're looking at non-tangible things. And in the future, you're saying you will also have these non-tangible things as the most important thing for you that gives you happiness. So well done on that. It's very clear. Just be very careful, Toastmaster Mohammed. Very minor point. Try to minimize using fillers. What is an example of the filler that I've picked up from your answer? It's at the end of the day. See, at the end of the day, or basically, or to be honest with you, these are words that we can drop and the message of your speech will be the same. Just to give you an example, some people would say, some of my colleagues would often say, to be honest with you, or honestly, what does it mean if you say honestly or to be honest with you? Are you saying that during sometimes you are dishonest or you're not telling me the real thing or you're not being truthful? Okay, so just a very minor point, but overall, Toastmaster Mohammed, very well done indeed. A round of applause again for our second volunteer. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time and for your feedback.
Thank you. Yes, and fellow leaders, please feel free to give your feedback as well to our volunteers. Please try to send them a personal note via chat. No need to broadcast them so that everybody can see, okay? Apologies, Toastmaster Summer, DTM Samia. I think I'm going over time with my main presentation. Let's just deduct time from the Q&A, okay? So that we still stick with the 45-minute duration. Okay, we will now move on to the last point, the last sentence or suggested table topics pattern, which is PREP, or what we call the point, reason, example, point. Now remember, what was our first pattern again? Fellow leaders, who can give me on the chat, what was our first pattern? What was the acronym or what was the components of our first pattern? Wow, nobody remembers anymore. Okay, good. It's SMG. Thank you. Story message gain. What was the second pattern, fellow leaders? What was it? PPF. Very good. Past, present, future. The third one is what we call prep. Now, if a lot of table topic speakers use stories effectively, a lot of other speakers also use this table topics pattern or speech pattern. It's very good when you are trying to convince people about your conviction, your belief, or what you believe to be true. So it stands for P, point. You give your opinion, your idea. You give your reason or justification. You give an example, okay? And you highlight your point, okay? So if you're saying, okay, that I believe I am the most handsome person in the world, the reason is that my mom believes it to be true. For example, my wife also believes this to be true. Therefore, I am the most handsome person on earth. That's an exaggerated example, but you get the point, right? So what are the transition statements? So when you start with the point, you start with I believe that, okay? The reason, you start with because. Your example, you mentioned for example, and the point, that is why I believe. So you just repeat the main point, okay? So this is prep for you. So again, I believe that, you state the reason because, you give an example, and then you summarize, you give your point again, all right? Who is our final volunteer to answer our third question for this evening? Please raise your hand and let's give it a go. Maybe we've run out of volunteers. Maybe they've fallen asleep. Where have they gone? Having dinner. Or sorry, is it prayer time? Any volunteers? Okay, Toastmaster Ilyas, can you please try hitting the unmute button so that we can hear your wonderful voice?
Yes, good evening. Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum, Toastmaster Ilyas.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. So this is your transition statements. Okay, these are the statements for you to remember. I believe that because, for example, that is why I believe. Are you ready for your question?
Yes, I hope so. I believe so.
COVID-19 has taught people a lot of lessons. COVID-19 has taught people a lot of lessons. Do you agree or disagree? Toastmaster Ilyas, Bakhsh, over to you.
Good evening. COVID-19 has taught a lot of lessons. Yes, I do believe. The reason is we were living very fast life and very busy life from months and years. But all of a sudden, when the COVID-19 hit us, we started slowing down a little bit. We started working from home. And eventually what happened, we start looking around the people who are close to us. And that makes us think that there are things beyond the work and beyond the offices. There are the people who live with us, who are close to our heart. And that is one of the reasons that I believe that COVID-19 has changed our life. We started looking to them, we started feeling them, we started helping them. And as long we were living at home, it did not differentiate between father and son, wife and husband that usually we used to have when we come at home, and we put in our life things or priorities. Now we are all same, we help each other, and that's what it is. COVID-19, yes, changed our life, and we started in the end realizing things that we did not realize before, and we are now one family and one person. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ilyas. Let's give our third volunteer a round of applause. Okay, apologies we couldn't call on additional people because I don't want to take up DTM Saeed's time as well. So Toastmaster Ilyas, I hope...
Toastmaster Ian, we're good for time, so you can take.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Summer. Toastmaster Ilyas, I hope you will allow me to just share some thoughts or feedback about your response.
Yes, please go ahead.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you again for volunteering. Again, a very smart move to repeat the question. See, if you're using the prep suggested pattern, you just need to start right away with your thesis statement or with your opinion, your belief. That's already your point, right? You use position statements, all of them, very well done. And again, for me as the listener, to be honest, I appreciate it if people are very structured thinkers, because you are telling me you have a clear message in mind. You're not wasting my time. You want to add value to me. You wish to share your ideas, your viewpoints. So that's what I liked about your response. In the future, Toastmaster Ilyas, just watch out for repeating yourselves. Again, I felt that you did the point very clearly. You reasoned, you gave a justification, you gave an example. But then when you were giving the wrap up, you were emphasizing the point in the conclusion. You did it 2 or 3 times, which I felt was no longer necessary. And you could have used that time maybe to elongate or expound on your example, or use that time to connect with the audience, okay? Fellow leaders or dear listeners, ladies and gentlemen, think back about how COVID has helped you and your families. Think about what you have learned. I invite you to do the same, reflect, and so on, okay? So you could use that time to challenge the audience, to invite them to do something, or to challenge them with a call to action, okay? So overall, very well done indeed. Another round of applause for all our volunteers this evening. Thank you very much. I would have really loved to have more volunteers, but I think it's very important for me to just give you a few tips, because just to share with you, fellow leaders, I joined Toastmasters International in 2017. And I was very lucky because during that time, there was a rookie contest. And my coach, the club president at that time said, Ian, come here. I can see you're not a very shy person. I wonder why he thinks this way, because I'm a very shy person. Toastmaster knows this. Toastmaster Summer, yeah, a lot of my friends knows this to be true. So I competed. We were 12 rookies, meaning very new Toastmasters. And what has helped me in that first time to compete, and then the next year as an official member, and then in SATAC, was that I had mentors, I had peers, I had coaches to help me. So the first tip that I can give you is work with a mentor. It could be the same every meeting. It could be different. It could be the most senior, or somebody you value the opinion of in that particular meeting. Ask your peers how you perform. Record yourself. Take a video recording. Observe skilled speakers. Observe how they do it. What do they like? What do you like about their performance? And what do you not like? Okay? Do more table topics. I cannot emphasize this enough. We know this. We learn by doing. There is no simple way for us to improve in table topics than actually doing a lot of table topics. Another secret I would say is try to evaluate. I am not a perfect table topic speaker, neither am I a very good speaker, but I never stop learning. I never try to stop learning. And when I started evaluating a lot, I have listened to a lot of speeches. It has widened my understanding about what's good, what's not so good, what do I need to avoid. Okay, so always ask yourself that. Remember, and just a warning, a lot of table topics answers may be funny, but are they relevant? Did they answer the question? Some answers are too boring maybe, but actually they're the most meaningful. So try to strike a balance between those two. Deliver prepared speeches, of course, that's very important as well. And the structures, the patterns that I've shared with you, they are very important. They can work even for prepared speakers or prepared speeches as well, okay? try to enroll in online courses. You know, in the British Council, we have a lot of free courses that you can use. Just look up MOOCs or MOOCs. These are massive open online courses, or MOOCs, MOOC. There are a lot that you can avail of online, okay? And they're free. You just need to have that discipline and the patience to do that, okay? So, what have we accomplished today? We have talked about what table topics is and what are their benefits, okay? We have also talked about the judging criteria. What are the judges looking for? And then we've also talked about 3 table topics patterns: story, message, gain, point, reason, example, point. Sorry, story, message, gain, past, present, future, point, reason, example, point. There are other patterns that maybe I can share with you in other training opportunities. But for now, I've chosen those 3 because those are the most popular and most common. And then we've also talked about the tips. So thank you very much for having me. Thank you for all the volunteers, and do let me know if you have questions or concerns. It has been amazing being your workshop presenter for this evening. Back to you now, Toastmaster Samer. I'm not sure if you still have time, but over to you.
Yes, thank you, Toastmaster Ian. Amazing segment. Always educational. Always look forward to listening to your educational sessions. I'm sure everyone has gained some knowledge from your pearls of wisdom. And did you notice he's very humble? He's the reigning champion, and he said he's not good at table topics. Okay. Now, for our next session, it will be, the agenda says it's by DTM Omar Tawi, but as DTM Samia says, DTM Osama Tawi cannot be with us due to his sickness. We wish him the best, fast recovery and best of health.
Toastmaster Samer,
Yes.
Can we have a question and answer if anyone want to ask before go to the next session? If not, we can go. Thank you.
Okay, sure. I have been asking if anyone has any questions, but I didn't get any, so I presume there are none. Does anyone have any questions for Toastmaster Ian? It's okay, you can open your mics now. Any questions? Going once, going twice. So no questions. So our next speaker, or our next educational session, is not by DTM Osama Tawi, who I said previously is recovering or sick, and we wish him a speedy recovery. But this speaker is he came in second in the evaluation in SATAP 2019, and he came in third in evaluations in 2020. And he was the champion of the humorous and evaluation segments in Division C for 2019. He is a DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, the former Vice President of Membership for NISMA Holding Toastmasters Club, and the current Vice President of Education for Saudi Toastmasters Club, and one of the most knowledgeable Toastmasters and experienced Toastmasters around, Distinguished Toastmaster Saeed Al-Ghamdi.
Thank you so much, our moderator, Toastmaster Samer Murshid, for this lovely introduction. And I would like to thank and extend the thanks for Toastmaster Ian Cortez for the insightful and extremely educational session about how to conduct table topics. And every time Toastmaster Ian speaks about table topics, I feel extremely confident. The minute that he stops speaking, I go back again and feel panicked. So I would ask Toastmaster Ian Cortez to give me a small totem, looks alike, or mini Ian, to have it around me, so I can feel confident whenever I want to step on the stage to answer a table topic question. And I know our spectators or the people who is attending this educational session, we're looking forward an extremely distinguished Toastmaster coming all the way from New York. I'm no match for Toastmaster Osama Tawi. Like me comparing to Toastmaster Osama Tawi as if you're ordering Jeff Dunham or Bill, what his name? The other famous comedian. I've skipped his name. All the famous comedian, and all of a sudden you find someone coming from Julie Sheik or someone coming from Alibaba trying to perform as good as that comedian. So I hope that you bear with me for this session, and I hope that you get a few things out of the things that I'm trying to convey to everyone. And I'm thankful that I can share my point of view when it comes to how you prepare for humorous contests. And also, I'm using a lot of ants because I'm a bit nervous, so bear with me on this. And also, I want to hear from you. We will be dedicating 15 minutes from Q&As, and also not only Q&As, you can also give me your perspective and your opinion within those 15 minutes by the end of my session. Now, I would ask kindly from the administrative who's working on this meeting to share the screen with the presentation, that it would look like water compared to a mojito when you're going to see it, compared to, oh no, they made it really good. Thank you so much. If you saw the draft. So starting off talking about the title, which is I did not choose. It was the title of Toastmaster Osama Tawi, and how to add to humor. Now, at the beginning, I want just to give a small highlight. In my point of view and in my opinion, preparing for a humorous contest is far more difficult than preparing to an international contest. Why is that? Because in the international contest, you have the sky is the limit when it comes to choosing your topic, the things that you want to talk about. You can do everything you want to do and convey to the audience, and that will help you in order to have a huge room in order to choose whatever you want to choose to build your content and deliver your content accordingly. But when we come to the humorous is extremely specific. Why? Because humorous wants you to make people laugh, to invoke their emotions to the side of laughter, not the side of sadness or side of anger, no, side of laughter. And in order to reach that specific side, there are some techniques, let's say, there are techniques, there are not some, there are techniques we have to learn. Those techniques, after we know about those techniques, we will realize that we have those techniques embedded within us without us being aware of them. After we realize those techniques, we start practicing those techniques over and over and over again till we reach the point of mastery. Actually, no one reaches a mastery, it's a pursuit of mastery. So we will keep our persuasion toward mastery, how to be able to make people laugh and how be able to put together a good humorous content. And in order to do so, we have 5 main questions. The first question, when it comes to the humorous contest, what are the judges looking for? Or what are the judges looking at? By the end of the day, in a humorous contest, we are not winning by the popular vote or the majority vote. We are winning because we are being measured against certain criteria. Those criteria are found in the judges' sheet scorecards or scores papers. Those criteria are the guaranteed criteria and elements. If we followed them in our content creation or in our delivery, it will help us to evoke laughter and make people laugh, and by that we're going to be scored high on those cards. After that, after we realize or we know what the judge is going to look for, we will go to our speech, how the speech formalities or how we can formulate and compose the speech, how it would look like. How can we start? What is the body and what we're going to say in the conclusion. Afterward, we're going to talk about the elements of what people are laughing at. What are the elements that people are going to laugh about? After that, we're going to talk about in specific about the jokes themselves. What are the jokes, how we can build the jokes, and what are the elements of the joke. Lastly, we talk about how we will build our jokes and what are the things that will help us in building our jokes. Let's move to the next slide. If you look at the next slide, and you look closely at the next slide, and this slide is a technical slide, is we have three major categories. The first category called the content category, and we have 55 marks of scoring for that content category. The second thing, which is the delivery, that is the 30 points for delivery. Lastly, it's the language, which is the appropriateness of the language and the correctness of the language. If you look carefully on the left side of the content delivery and language, you will find subcategories, starting from speech development, effectiveness, speech value, audience response, physical. And under each category, you will find in fine print or almost transparent ink print, you will find also other elements. Like, for example, if we said speech development, we have the structure of the speech, organization of the speech, and supportive material or support material, effectiveness, achievement of purpose, which is making people laugh, interest, keeping people interest, and reception, meaning the level or the amount of receptiveness, if I may say, if that was a correct word, of the audience, about what you're talking about. Is it cringe-worthy? Well, sometimes you will try to be funny, but all of a sudden you say things that would make people cringe. And there is no common rule, because this will goes into the hand of the speaker to study the people who would come and listen to him. Some audience would laugh and would accept the topic that you're talking about, and some audience will find it not pleasing. So that's very important, because I remember when I competed in Satak 2019 in Abha, the audience who were attending, they were not accepting the topic that I was talking about as the audience who were in Jeddah. So that's a very important factor to look at. We're talking about the delivery also when we talk about physical, how you use your body gestures, your body movement purposefully. And when we talk about, we're still on that, we talk about the voice, the flexibility of the voice, the range of the voice, how you're conveying emotions and whatnot. And we're talking about the volume going up and down. After that, moving to the manner, which is the directness when you talk or when you go. Are you moving around? Are you roaming around? Are you going in loops around the jokes, or you're going methodically? You go from one joke to the next joke to the next joke to the next joke. You do a smooth transition and you go for the other series of jokes, and you keep yourself very neat, very clean, very focused when you're moving throughout your content. If you have your content filled with a lot of unnecessary sentences, a lot of jargon, that will throw the audience off. And also the what they call them, the judges will not be able to follow the sequence or the rhythm of your humorous content. But if you are very methodical, very clear, very laser focused, you know what to say and what not to say, that will help them in order to see you will reflect assuredness and directness. And absolutely, and for sure, you should also have the energy and the enthusiasm when you deliver your content and your speech. Enthusiasm, not to be over the top crazy and not to be extremely low in energy. You be energetic, vibrant, you deliver, or let's say you backbone your content with confidence, with delight. That's how I see energy from my point of view. Next, we talk about the appropriateness, which is to speech purpose and the audience. If the speech was without a purpose, it's not a speech. It's going to be a bundle of jokes that is being tied together, and someone stood on the stage and narrated them. Some people told me there is a difference between humorous speeches and contests and stand-up comedy. But when I did my research and I investigated more, I found out that actually stand-up comedy it's extremely, or it's as humorous contest look alike, or let's say a humorous speech. It has a purpose, it has a narrative, it has a story, an opening, a body, and conclusion. It has a sequence of connected events with a purpose at the end. And we need to be aware of that, not to put irrelevant jokes together for like, and we talk about them for 7 minutes and a half. That will lose, or will make the speech lose its cohesiveness and integrity. So we need to have that in mind. And lastly, it's the correctness, which is the grammar, pronunciation, and word selection. Just note, if when you look at the separation of the points, or let's say how the point is being divided, correctness has the lowest point, and you go from down up, you find the other points like they are equally, for example, for appropriateness, manner, voice, physical, they all have 10 scoring at top. After that, audience response, speech value, 15 mark each. Effectiveness has 10 marks, 15 for speech development. So I urge you always to focus on the elements that scores you a lot, but I urge you to focus on everything because sometimes the levels of the competition is too high and it's anyone's game. So sometimes you find the differences are only half mark. So you need to focus on everything literally. One piece of advice before we move from this slide: attend the judges training that is going to be conducted, because they expand on the criteria of the judges and of the judging criteria, and that will help you to understand more how you've been judged. Moving on to the next slide. We talk about in the next slide how the speech looks like in my point of view. Starting with the opening. In the opening, in my point of view, you need to be so fast in making people laugh. You should go really fast. You should make people laugh. That will help you to grab the people's attention. Like we always talk about hook at the beginning. Hook them with a joke. Once you hook people with a joke, you will crack them at the ice and the monotonous of the people, and also you will break that awkwardness. People will say, okay, he's here to make us laugh, so start with a bang, start with a laughter. That will make them more receptive. Now, that joke has to be relevant with your content. For example, I don't make a joke about, let's say, I make a joke about an elephant and I'm talking about astronauts, unless if they are connected. So joke has to be your opening of your speech contest or your humorous speech, and it has to be relevant. And once you have that you have the audience laughing, prepare to do your transition into the body. And preparing to do your transition into the body, starting of a story, starting of a confession, starting of something that it's connected to the bigger picture, of the premise of the content itself. And the more smooth you are in transitioning into the body, the more comfortable you would be in order to start remembering your jokes and start narrating your jokes one joke at a time. When we reach to the body, you can divide the body of your humorous speech into 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph has a central idea, or let's say a main joke, a big joke. And you can fill that joke with sub-jokes that pour into supporting the main joke. By doing that, you will have endless counts of laughs and people would not get enough of you talking. So remember, 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph has to have a central idea, aka joke, and sub-ideas, which is sub-jokes that supporting the main joke. Good? After we finish, we go down to our closure. In our closure, there will be the message behind all the laughter. By the end of the day, when we go, inshallah, further in our presentation, you would see the topics that usually people use to make people laugh. All of those topics has moral behind it, has philosophy behind it, has ideas, has concepts. So you can take that topic, you can make fun of it, and you can entertain people. By the end of the day, you can bring the moral side out of it, the philosophical side out of it, the deep side out of it. And that would show, ladies and gentlemen, another point, or fellow Toastmasters and guests, this is another point, which make, in my opinion, preparing for humorous contest is harder than international. The capability of you looking deep into the topics, extract the fun out of those topics and entertain the people with that fun and make them feel entertained and laugh. And after that, you bring them to the reality of that topic and the importance of that topic. And this need a brilliant individual who, by the way, brilliant does not mean someone who's coming out of the ordinary, someone who's coming from an alien's life. No, someone who just know what to do and train and practice. That's how we will get to that status. And after you talk about what you want to talk and convey your message, you can elevate the emotions once and for all, and that by using another killing joke. So you can drop the mic, end on a laughter note, and handle the stage to the contest share. Moving on to the next slide, which is what does people laugh at? Now, we spoke about the topics. Usually the topics, we have the controversial topics that controversial or controversial in their own nature. Those topics evoke emotions, so you can take them and you can shape them to appeal to the audience in a humorous side, in a funny side. Like the famous, amazing Joker said, "Why so serious?" You can take that controversial topic and you can just play with it. Take it and look at it from a perspective of a 3-year-old kid. That would make people laugh a lot. The other thing is things or topics that frustrate people. Things that makes people frustrated, that will help you to make fun of in a sarcastic way. Roasting. Roasting makes people laugh like the huge laughs that I ever seen and I ever witnessed in Toastmasters environment is when someone roasts someone else. You would find them laugh to the point that they would faint on their chairs. Familiar topics, but you look at them from a unique perspective. That would make people crack. There are other things that's not embedded or it's not mentioned, like, for example, when you make people feel superior to something, that would invoke laughter. But I didn't add it because for me, I like to be modest, so I threw that on the side. Can you please elaborate on roasting? I'll talk at the end, inshallah, Toastmaster Mazen, when we taken the 15 minutes for questions and answers. Moving to the next slide, which is how I build my joke. Okay, so when we start, we're talking about the elements of the joke. Elements of the joke overall, it's the humorous speech in its own title, meaning that when we go down and we see the elements of the joke, we talk about the premise, the setup. What is the setup? Is the premise. What is the premise? The premise is whatever you're going to talk about overall, the overall picture, the overall message, the overall topic that you want to talk about. After that, the timing. When we talk about the timing is when you will say your speech, or sorry, when you will say your joke. The timing for the joke is extremely important. When to say your joke is a crucial factor, because you have to be aware, are the people following your joke or not? If you threw your joke without the awareness of your synchronicity with the audience, you would lose them. And you want to carry on with your speech and with your jokes, and they are confused. Shall they laugh, or shall they wait for you, or now? So the importance of saying your jokes is crucial. Now, if you threw a joke and no one laughed, don't feel confused. Just roll with your speech. Keep on going. Important thing is you make sure that people understand your transition and the main points that you're talking about. Even if the joke, for example, let's say you transitioned from your opening to the body, and you started with your central idea, which was your main joke, and no one laughed. It's fine, no one laughed, but make sure that they understood the main point. They might laugh at the sub-jokes. They don't find the main joke funny, but they would laugh at the sub-joke because it's supporting the main idea at the beginning of your paragraph. If you threw a joke and the response was strong, pause. Stop for a minute. Let the joke sink to the audience. Let them receive the joke fully. Imagine it, live it, savor it. The joke is not like a beer you jog. It's like a fine, what they call it, a fine liquid, which is water. You sip on it, or a lemon juice, because it's so sour you cannot jog it at once. They savor the jokes. They enjoy the joke. They see the vivid imagery of the joke, and they would enjoy the joke. So give them that time. Don't be cruel on your jokes. Let it live among the audience. And speaking of that, would takes us to the punchlines of the jokes and the dramatization of the joke. Now, what does the punchline or the dramatization of the joke means? You will talk about something ordinary. All of a sudden, you will talk about something dramatic, something out of this, out of logic from your perspective. And that's what would invoke laughter. Because people are going with you, following you logically. All of a sudden, you're saying something extremely dramatic. And that would make them feel like, this is funny, how he thought about it in this way. So the dramatization is extremely important in the joke line. All of your jokes, like I said, it has to be connected to the broader commentary. What does broader commentary means? That the sub-jokes with the central jokes or the main ideas, let's say, are all connected to the whole sequence of your speech from the beginning till you reach to your message. And the sequence of your speech, or let's say the message of your speech, it's from our normal, ordinary life. So whenever you say something, it has to be, the people has to project it on the bigger life, project it on social topics, on yeah, you know, in Toastmasters in Saudi, we don't talk about these three topics, but you know what I mean. It has to be connected to the bigger picture, the broader picture. If you are not connected with the bigger picture, so your jokes will not have depth in them. Actually, if we are throwing jokes, we are cheering people up, but at the same time, we are educating, we are enlightening, we are unlocking the defenses and the shields of the people and let them more receptive to the topics and the messages that we want to convey through laughter. Next thing is the tight construction set. And that's what I emphasized earlier. When you want to deliver a joke, your joke has to be so neat and so discussion. I cannot understand. What does that mean? Let me just check. Please discuss and display design on closure. Okay. I'll go to that in the 15-minute time slot. Like I was saying, the structure of your joke has to be so clean and so neat. No added words, no less words. You have to know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it, and stick to it. People laughed, amazing. They did not laugh, roll, and move on to the next joke. The more clear your joke, the more easy for you to perform, the more easy for the audience to follow. Clear? The more easy and clear your joke, the more easy for you to perform, the more easy for the audience to follow. How to make your joke easy? Find your point of strength, how you will remember your jokes, what the things that is already embedded in you when you remember your jokes, and how you narrate your jokes, and capitalize on your point of strength. Use them. That you will find it a great asset for you in order to fine-tune your jokes to the point that there are a lot of fillers. Because if you fill your joke with unnecessary words, you will miss the timing, you will miss the punchline, you will miss the idea behind the joke. So that's extremely important. Range of emotion. Sorry that I breathed too heavy because I was speaking way too much and I was out of breath. Range of emotions. Range of emotions, instead of me saying use your vocal variety, your facial expression, if you convey range of emotions sincerely and to the best of your ability, you're going to recruit everything. You're going to recruit your body gestures, you're going to recruit your vocal variety, you're going to recruit your movement on the stage, you're going to recruit everything. Why? Because you sincerely want to convey an emotion. And when you want to convey an emotion, strange enough, people laugh. I don't know why, but that's the better reality. And the emotion that we recruit in making people laugh: sadness, anger, frustration, confusion, confidence sometimes, ironically, happiness, feeling scared, feeling surprised. All of those emotions will help you to recruit all of your skills. And also, when you practice your speech with experienced Toastmasters, or thankfully like Division C doing when they have their champions going to SATAC, they assemble a strong, solid committee to train their champions so they can do good at SATAC. Try to convey it in front of them and hear their feedback, and they will give you tips and tricks in order to convey the emotions in the most impactful way ever. After that, props usage. The props usage, I found the winner of 2019 in SATAC, the majority of the things that made people laugh is the props that he used. Some props were visible, which is sometimes the clothes, sometimes the shoes, sometimes he brings something with him from the beginning of the speech. Some of the props are hidden. Like, for example, he was having a sign inside of his jacket, and he was opening the signs and was interacting with the audience. And the audience, whenever they see the sign, they would say what was the sign saying. For example, that was extremely clever from a trained humorous participant who guaranteed the first point by doing such a prop. So we learned from it. One of our contestants dropped his band on the stage, and I do not recommend you to do that. And why I'm saying this, because I'm going on record and I want to be transparent on the record. Don't drop your pants on a stage. Moving on, body language, it goes without saying. If you want to utilize props and utilize range of emotions, that means you're going to recruit everything you have in your ability, or everything that you have, which is your body language, your movement, in order to convey those emotions, who's going to support your jokes that are sub-jokes tied to a central joke, tied to a bigger message. See how everything is tied. Speaking of this year, inshallah, the competitions will be on Zoom. So make sure that you are visible in the whole screen. Make sure that you're standing, and they will give you the limit of the stage. They will talk about how you will be setting your setup for participating. So make sure that you don't go out of the frame. Don't participate while sitting, because this will limit your performance and your ability to perform properly. Moving on, what can I use to build my jokes? Everything around you, the surrounding that you have, are usable to build the joke. You have the space, you have the clothes, you have songs, you can use them, you have the people themselves, you can use them. But you need to be aware when you use the people, not to give them the time, don't give them the chance to waste your time. You need to be aware of that, extremely. Use them in a rhetorical way. Don't let them talk a lot. Just, or coordinate with someone before you use them, so you would control your time. Moving on to, yeah, that's basically it. Now, a few words before we open the floor for Q&As. At the beginning, the first time I participated in Humorous, literally no one laughed. The sad thing, that we were two. The one who won first got only 1 laugh or 2 laughs out of the audience. And for me, I did not get any laughs. Ironically enough, when I came to do my table topic competition, people laugh at my table topic answer more than my whole humorous speech, which was extremely frustrating, and it was extremely annoying to me, and I was feeling so discouraged, and I did not want to participate in the next year. But the amazing Toastmaster that I sat with, they talked to me and they told me, where shall I focus? How can I build my content? How should I practice? How can I utilize my speech delivery, my roles in meetings? For example, being the Toastmaster of the evening, especially being Toastmaster of the evening, how to utilize those chances in order to practice my humorous game. And lo and behold, people start laughing whenever I talk. People start laughing when I became my normal self, when I capitalized on the gifts and the abilities, and I was natural. People start laughing. With that, I added learning about how to make people laugh. With that, I added practicing of how to make people laugh. We went to 2019 and we competed, and we were 6 or 7 competitors. And the 6 competitors were one of the most funniest competitors in the game. They were amazing. And when I was there with them, I just wanted to make people laugh. That's it. And I ended up winning first. I won first, and I could not believe it. I just applied the method that I told you about, and I became first in a very astonishing way. Went to the area, and I became first. Went to the division, and I became first. Went to district, and I didn't even rank. Here, I tell every one of you, be a scrappy competitor. What does a scrappy competitor mean? It means that a competitor who would come, compete, lose, and show up next year. You will learn from the competition like you never learned from anything else, whether it was workshops, whether it was seminars, whether it was regular meetings. Competition itself, it's a learning experience. So never miss competition. Even if you did not make anyone laugh, try it out so you can feel it, so you can learn from the experience. Even if you won, what next? How you can utilize your ability in making people laugh, in solving issues, in helping people life gets better, whether you're supporting a cause or you at least make them laughing after having a hard day. It's whatever we do within the realm of Toastmasters or within the organization of Toastmasters, it's a mere preparation for being a strong asset in other entities or in other aspects of life. You can break the intensity of a meeting using humor. You can close a deal using humor. You can prevent a crisis in a company or between countries by using humor. So, fellow Toastmasters, amazing competitors, don't be discouraged. And what I'm trying to give you here, I'm thankful for the opportunities that I was able to talk about my reflection and my learning process, which I am sure that every single one of us has their own collection of learning experience and learning process that they can do whatever I've done right now, even better than I have done it. I would like to thank every and each one of you, and now we can open the floor for the questions and answers. Samir Murshid, if there are some questions you received.
Yes, DTM Said. The main question and so far was regarding the roasting. What exactly is roasting?
Yes. Okay. So basically, roasting in nature is this is an American custom. So what they do, they celebrate someone or something, in like an entity or an object or an individual by making fun of them. Not making fun of them, to be exact, making fun with them, making people laugh with them, but not laugh at them. And when you do so, you have a very fertile material, or you have a very big material to draw humor from. The behavior, the way they speak, the way they talk, what they like. For example, the winning speech, I think in SATAC 2018, he roasted the whole Toastmasters, the roles, the people within the Toastmasters environment, and it was hilarious. He's celebrating Toastmasters, but by roasting them, which is making fun, but I don't want to say at them, making fun with them. So you can go and you can watch multiple materials, how the roast is being made. On the top of that, you can go to the manual. I think now the pathways, we have the what they call it, the speech occasions, or the occasions speech. One of them, they show you how to do your roasting. You can take that and you can project it on more bigger scale, on an entity, on a topic. So that's how you do the roasting. Other questions? And if I did not answer your question clearly, please, you can ask me to elaborate more.
DTM Said, can you elaborate further on roasting or give an example of roasting?
I'll give an example on roasting. For example, like let's say, if I may use Toastmaster Samir, like I would say that Toastmaster Samir is such a grammar Nazi that he would put Hitler and Mussolini both to shame. So that's a roast. But I'm celebrating the good part in Toastmaster Samir, that he's so good in grammar. So that gives you an idea how to put your roasting together. Is it clear? I apologize, Toastmaster Samir, because you have to take the roastee permission before you roast them.
That's fine, DTM Said. It's not the first time you said it.
I have said it before.
Yes.
What else? I think I received something on direct.
Toastmaster Muhammad Tubail has a question.
Yes, please.
Yes, Toastmaster Muhammad, unmute yourself, please. Okay, this is in table topics, but DTM Said can also answer it. It's how do you decide if you're going to use SMG, PPF, or PrEP? So how do you
explain SMG, PPF?
How do you decide which format you're going to use for your table topics?
The format that Toastmaster Ian talked about?
Yes.
Well, you can refer to Toastmaster Ian, inshallah, because he's the one who's having that kind of amazing and unique way on approaching his techniques when it comes to answering or approaching table topics.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any more questions?
And opinions, if someone
regarding humorous speeches?
Yes.
May I ask in audio, or should I do it in
Sure, you can ask.
Written.
You can
format?
ask. You can ask.
Perfect. Thank you very much. In fact, I find the subject of providing humorous speeches very interesting, but I think in the club there is no such structured competition about that. We have icebreaker. You're evaluated on your icebreaker speech, your evaluator speech, your table topic speech. Of course, in each of these speeches, you can do a humorous performance, but I think we may need more occasions where we can really practice this type of speeches. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Muhammad. There is a whole pathway about humorous, I think called Made Them Laugh or something like that. And that pathway takes you one project after the other on the art of humorous and laughter. And you will find in that pathway multiple and numerous resources and styles in order to master the techniques of humorous. And with that being said, if we want to shed the light on the whole sequence of starting the Toastmaster journey, let's say overall, the thing that I realized, the majority of the people who join Toastmasters community, they come with existing skills. They have skills learned from other disciplines or from other places, and they come and they deploy them in Toastmasters. One piece of advice, whatever you've learned outside of the Toastmasters, keep it outside of the Toastmasters. Start with the beginner mindset. Start learning from the first square, from step one. Imagine yourself as if you are speaking in public for the first time, and follow the learning process of Toastmasters. Once you do that, you will start learning a lot of new techniques and materials. Some techniques you might know, but you will look at it from a different perspective, from a new perspective. That will add to the quality of your speech delivery. Now, when I talked about humorous speech overall, creating the content of a humorous speech, It's the same as a regular speech, starting with an opening body and ending with a conclusion. But I injected the jokes part or the humorous part at it. So starting with a strong joke at the beginning, transition into the body, a main joke, supporting jokes, and you keep going as such. Learning the basics from the pathways is crucial in order to use those basic and those layouts in order to fill it with your jokes and deliver those jokes to amuse yourself at the beginning before amusing others. In terms of if you want to get more specific in terms of learning how to be more effective humorous speaker and a joke narrator, you can choose the humorous pathway, and you will find a very intensive, let's say, very intensive material, and you look for the experience, speakers and the people who are strong in humorous, and let them evaluate you when you deliver humorous speech. Talk with them, discuss, make conversations, because the more you converse and the more that you talk about ideas and jokes, and you let's say reflect on speeches that you liked, humorous speeches that you liked, the more you will deepen the roots of humorous within your character and within your delivery style. Humorous needs a lot of writing, need a lot of reflection, need a lot of reading, need a lot of conversations that are, by the way, it's not superficial conversations. You need to have meaningful, deep conversations in order to draw back a lot of images and a lot of perspective that you can manipulate. You can make it and you shape it the way that you like, and you can make people laugh at it. So it's an act of a philosopher in a way, where you will reach to the intangible and you make a bridge to extend or to deliver that the intangibility to the tangible world, to the materialistic world, and you do it in a delightful manner so people would not feel intimidated about it. I'm going a bit philosophical, but that's the matter of the fact. You cannot make fun of something if you don't go to the depth of those things, of that particular thing. You have to learn it and you have to know it through and through in order to be able to manipulate it. So the gesture that you make, it will evoke laughter with emotions.
Thank you,
We
Toastmaster.
have questions.
Is there a question?
Abdullah,
Mr. Abdullah, yes.
Yes, the DTM Saeed. How are you, sir?
I'm great, thank you.
I've got a question regarding now, when preparing for a humorous speech, I mean, what is the way to test or to examine if this speech will be humorous or not? So do I deliver to certain groups or to pick someone? And so what is the way? What is?
Yeah, actually the way like we talked earlier, you are going to deliver a humorous speech to a certain group of audience. So you need to know that audience. You need to do your due diligence when it comes to searching those audience. What the things that they are interested about, what the topics that they are familiar with, and you need to assemble an audience that look alike that audience. And you need to try your material, saying your material in front of them, and see their reactions. Within those audience, if you can bring experts and people who can diagnose and can give you advices how to adjust and tweak your jokes. Mohammed Al-Damari, by the way, speaking of experts, he had people who helped him to take out few jokes so he can have more time to complete his speech without the audience taking of his time only laughing and clapping. So you can have like those people, and mashallah, our district 104, it filled with a lot of experienced Toastmasters when it comes to humorous. You can invite them to the meetings in your club, in your respected club, and they would give you their point of evaluation or their point of view. You can have like a round robin like. For example, you can come and deliver your speech and ask everyone to give you a piece of evaluation. You have 20 attendees, let's say 12 attendees, you will have 12 points of improvements or 12 points of feedback that you can take the things that you find necessary, and you can disregard the thing that you don't think that you will work on. Important thing that you know your audience, you bring people who represent your audience, if I may say, or simulate your audience. You narrate and make sure that the people that you bring, they're not your close friend or family, because they might be kind with you and they will not let you know the truth. They will laugh no matter how bad you will sound. So bring mutual people who would work for the benefit of improving your humorous game, and give it a try. When you give it a try, if people laughed, amazing. If they did not, it's not the end of the world. Go back and reflect on it. Take it in a practical, okay, grief. Go through the cycle of the grieving. I'm encouraging everyone to grieve and take the sadness and the anger out of their system as fast as possible. After that, reflect on what you have done. Console the experienced people who were with you on the test. Not test. On the what I wanted to say. What we do usually. On the competition. On the competition. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, console those people on the competition. Afterwards, after the emotion settled, console them. What's the good thing that you find me doing? What are the things that I need to work on? And remember, it's a slow progression. It's not the short-term victories, it's the triumph by the end of the day. How we can build gradually our set of skills and become natural funny speakers without even making the effort to look alike. We want to make people laugh. I hope
Thank
that
you so
answered
much,
your question.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Do we have other questions?
I don't believe we have any questions, and I think we are running out of time.
And I've seen something in my direct messages. Someone wanted me to talk about share slide on closure. Share slide on closure. I think we talked about the closure. I think it's mentioned in one of the slides. But if you want the slides, you can talk to Distinguished Toastmaster Samia, our Division C Director. She can provide you with the slide, and everyone has my number. So you can reach to me directly, and we can have a very elaborate and long conversation about humorous and how to make people laugh. Thank you.
Thank you, DTM Said. I believe DTM Said gave us a full-length, humorous educational session. It involved everything, maybe not everything, but there's a lot. But DTM Said and Toastmaster Ian have both been so generous with their time and their knowledge. So thank you both. Thank you so much. Please.
May I have a question? Do we still have 1 minute?
DTM Samia?
Okay, sure.
Thank you very much. I'll be very quickly. Knowing that humorous speeches can be online, like the way we are doing it now, how do we do without having the enthusiasm of the public? Yeah, of course, yeah, people can laugh when the mic is closed and it's not really enthusiastic. So how to handle that? Thank you very much.
This is a very important question. Now, first and foremost, let's agree this is unusual circumstances, and we are doing that just for the better of everyone's safety. For performing a humorous speech on videos, I will just let you know, because I'm on a very close follower for when it comes to stand-up comedy. Most of the experienced stand-up comedians shy away from giving stand-up comedy act on Zoom or on virtual stages. They feel intimidated because they are losing the connection between them and the audience. Yet there are some great stand-up comedians who utilized virtual platforms like Instagram, like YouTube, in order to deliver an extremely entertaining and funny content. So you can have a quick view on those stand-up comedians and see what are the techniques that they follow in order to utilize this virtual platform to the best that they can. For example, ranting. For example, talking in a very frustrated manner. For example, building a reality with yourself, and you keep going with the flow with yourself. Give the proper pauses after you deliver or after you give your jokes. Give the proper pauses. The pause should not be too long, not too short. And after that, roll with your speech. The tryouts and the practices with your club members, with the people who will assist you, will give you a good indication on are you making people laugh or not. So if you make a lot of tryouts throughout the Zoom, you will see the reactions. Now in the competition, I believe they don't let you open the camera. They don't let the audience open the camera. So it's a very crucial part to practice before you go and step on the stage. The great thing that I see competing in virtual reality, you will go to lengths that you will not go to when you compete in physical competitions. And when you go to those lengths that will reflect on you when you compete physically 10 times better. So if I was not extremely busy this year, I would compete in all categories. I would try myself in Humorous on the Zoom, and I would follow the new techniques of training, how to be able to throw jokes on Zoom in order to time myself, know how I can throw jokes on Zoom, and if I throw them, I would throw them in a very clean, neat way that will support my messages, and I would go through it as if it's a learning experience. If I won, that amazing, and congrats, and take your time to celebrate. If you didn't, take the frustration out of your system, learn from what you have done, and move forward. If that answers your question, I think Toastmaster Mohammed.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, there is, I think, one more general question. If you could answer it very quickly, it's how do we learn about competitions in general, and how to apply them?
Great. Actually, learning about competition, the first thing that will help you to sharpen your senses and make you more receptive is to throw yourself into the competition themselves. You can sit in a desk and read your head off about how to swim, but the first time you will jump into a swimming pool, you will drown. But if someone pushes you into a swimming pool and you start fighting, wrestling with the water, you will drink half of that swimming pool, yet you will learn how to, you will break the fear. You will start learning. You will start learning how to paddle, how to move your hands. And after that, you will start practicing. So the very first step in order to learn how to compete, unfortunately, is to compete. That's the first thing. After you put yourself into the grind, you compete, you take the punches, you go to the floor and you see how it goes. After that, all of your senses will be sharpened. You will start looking at people. You will start seeing the styles. Your frontal lobe will be extremely clear to the point that you will register everything. You will not, believe me, I'm one of the most people who forget. I never forget my competitors, what they have done, their style, the way that they approach their speeches. I even evaluate my competitors while I am sitting there, and I know who did better than I did and who did worse. To that point. So throwing yourself into the experience will put you into the sense of urgency and make you learn from everything around you, from everyone around you. And the brain is extremely amazing. It's extremely brilliant. It's beyond our conceivable understanding. Our brain, it registers everything and it compares and it matches and it learns from the people who are better than you are and learn from the people that they didn't do as good as you've done. So simply said, throw yourself into the grind. Your brain will be open. Your senses will be receptive, and you will find yourself evolving naturally and amazingly when it comes to competitions.
Okay, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the Q&A session because we are running out of time. Okay, so we are definitely out of time. But to add to what DTM Saeed just said, if you want to experience the competition, just attend as many competitions as you can. A lot of the clubs are starting their competitions at the end of this month, from December and January. Will be all of the clubs will be having their competitions. So try to attend as many as you can.
And participate.
And attend and try to participate in your own club's competition.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you once again, DTM Saeed, for all the information and for giving us your time and your knowledge. And we appreciate everything and everything you've given us today. You and as well as Toastmaster Ian, who unfortunately had to leave. Thank you all for attending, and I allow me to turn the stage to our division leader, DTM Samia Baghallab.
Thank you, Toastmaster Samir, and thank you our presenters, Toastmaster Ian, distinguished Toastmaster Saeed, for this wonderful workshops. I benefited a lot of all the tips, all the things that how to win either table topic or humor speeches. Really, thank you from our bottom of our hearts for the dedication, the effort, the thing that you put in these two workshops. But before we continue to the last segment, I need to recognize the presence of the distinguished Toastmaster Saji and distinguished Toastmaster Saida, distinguished Toastmaster Asjad, Area 34 Director, Area 27 Director, Toastmaster Ilyas, and all the club officers from all the district. But last, not least, distinguished Toastmaster Mohammed Nasruddin, our Program Quality Director in District 104. Distinguished Toastmaster Mohammed, are you here? So we can have a few words from you.
Yes, Deficiency Director DTM Samia. Actually, I'd like to thank you and thank the all participants and Toastmaster Ian and DTM Saeed Al-Ghamdi for delivering this an outstanding seminar which teach us a lot and give us a lot of techniques, especially for those who are interested in delivering such species or chairing such contest. I'd like to thank Deficiency for these kind of seminars, educating the clubs. And it's a good thing we have it done in our divisions. And I from here, I urge myself and others member to not miss this type of seminars. At least add more information to your skills. Thank you very much, DTM Saida. And I forgot to greet our DTM Joy. I saw his name there. I didn't be with you from the beginning because I was in another seminar, but I got the chance to catch some of this seminar. Thank you very much for all. I'm back to you.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Mohammed Nasruddin. We understand the heaviness and the hectic weeks that you you are running from one meeting to another, and to attend both of you, our DD, Distinguished Toastmaster Joey, and also our Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Mohammed Nasruddin, to this workshops and seminars for the second week. This is really the support that we got from the District 104, and thank you a lot for that. Now, as a small gesture, it isn't nothing, in my opinion, to the efforts that all team in Division C put together, so we can have these workshops. Without presenters, without hosts, without Sergeant at Arms, without members, attendees, and also from the whole district, we cannot have a successful seminars and workshops. Thank you a lot for coming, for attending our seminars and workshops for the second week, inshallah, for the upcoming the third week and fourth week, until this December month will end, so we can empower and our contestants from the whole district to be, and also in the other district. Yesterday we have someone from District 20, so we are a big one family in Toastmasters International. So we learn by doing, and we learn by attending these kind of seminars and workshops. So before I adjourn, let me thank the people behind this, the people who can thank for their effort. First of all, Toastmaster Ian Cortes, thank you a lot for the wonderful interactive session of the double topic speech contest. Thank you. I know that you have a lot in your plate these days, this week. Thank you for attending. Thank you for presenting, although you are very busy guy. The second one, Distinguished Toastmaster Said, also a busy one. However, he took from his busy schedule in the spot. Whenever we needed him, he jumped in and gave us his best to deliver an amazing presentation and workshop. Thank you, Distinguished Toastmaster Said, for this amazing workshop and for always being proactive in Division C and the whole district. And third one, Toastmaster Samir Morshi, thank you a lot for being our host today. Without you, we cannot have a smooth session. Thank you. You were an amazing during this session, and this is a small gesture. It's nothing. However, we need to recognize your effort. And last but not least, Toastmaster Abdullah Mansour, thank you for being here with us as a Sergeant at Arms. You've been professional, and you showed how being Sergeant at Arms should work. Thank you. And thank you all for attending, for being here with us. Inshallah, we are going to, I'm going to send all these certificates to you, inshallah, soon. And last, thank the whole attendees for being with us until this hour. Thank you a lot, and wish you all the best. And please, please, please participate, because as Distinguished Toastmaster said, getting out from your comfort zone will give you many experience. Even me, I throw myself from my comfort zone and competed in table topic and humorous, which is not my arena at all. However, I learned a lot. I learned a lot because with the experience, you get the knowledge and you get sharpening your skills for being a contestant. Thank you, and wish you all the best. And now let me say that we adjourn our meeting, and thank you all for attending this wonderful 2 sessions and workshops. Thank you.